Dude, while I was gone, I had this like mental image of I had this idea of like what if like OJ just kept on killing people and kept on like having cases
Getting away with
and
it.
then just get each time like dude every week like the judge was just like, all right, well, here we are again, Mr. Simpson.
Well, you know that basically that was what inspired like my not you Donkey Kong like idea that I
Oh
had
yeah, that's right,
read.
yeah, you
Not
had that
you
idea.
Donkey Kong. Like that literally that inspired that idea. That's kind of was like my thought process for
Forgot about that idea you had. Why don't we
like
get
every day. Yeah.
so this
That,
reminds me of I had an idea for a new segment of the show that we could do, which is like a pitch segment. And I got the
yeah.
idea from Max Landis's channel where he like pitches stuff sometimes. But I had an
Yeah.
idea where like you and I could pitch some of our ideas sometimes on the podcast, and
Yeah,
then
it's pretty funny.
tell our audience about not you Donkey Kong, like what
Okay.
your idea was.
Alright, so we're back. We're back, everybody. We had a little break. But I had an idea at some point. But at some point, midway through our college years, I had this idea that was partly inspired by O.J. Simpson. And it was this idea where basically it was taking the character Donkey Kong. I don't remember why it was Donkey Kong for whatever reason, but that was like where the
Yeah.
thing was. And the whole idea of the show was there would be like a weekly show, like one of those kind of like Adult Swim shows, centered on the character of Donkey Kong, basically being accused every week. He was accused of a new crime. And the show would be called "Not You, Donkey Kong," because because it's like he's a beloved character, so people don't
Yeah.
want to believe that whatever heinous crime he's being accused of, like it was him. And every week it would just be him being accused of something, having to defend himself, lawyers bringing proof, showing photos, witness testimonies, the whole
Yeah.
shebang.
I can imagine the
And then
prosecutor being in there and being like, Your Honor, let's not forget that this is the same man that in the 1970s kidnapped Princess Peach.
exactly, yeah, shit like that. So ultimately, the resolution, would always be that he gets away with it, or he gets like a slap on the wrist, like, oh, you're gonna go like spend a night in jail because he needs to be out of jail because the next episode, next week, there's a new crime. But yeah, that was one of the that was like that's a silly like Adult Swim idea that I came up with. If I could pitch it to Adult Swim, I would pitch it to them.
Do you imagine that in each episode he's like more beaten down and kind of defeated?
Of course, yeah, 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 yeah.
Like he's not
Because
his
to me,
same happy-go-lucky self. Like this would have an effect on him over time. I
yeah,
would
no,
think.
exactly,
Like if I'm your
exactly. Because to me,
producer, that would be my note to you.
yeah, yeah, because to me, these kind of things are never just like episodic. They kind of have like a little bit of like an arc or like an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
Where the characters are aware that this just fucking keeps happening. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Um, what? Let me think if I have a pitch for this week. Maybe I can throw a pitch in there too. I have a lot of shit. I have a lot of ideas. Okay, all right. So this is one. I actually wrote the script for an episode over the summer just for fun while I was like between
Mm,
projects. I didn't. I always try to keep writing because like whether I'm working on an actual project that I'm taking seriously or not, I'm always writing. Like I have to be writing daily. Like I hold myself to it. And so I was between kind of projects and I wanted to just have something to keep writing. So I just executed on this idea that I've had for a few years now. I'm really surprised that it's honestly, I think it's a good idea, but it's an idea that I think I'm surprised no one's done yet. Um,
mhm,
so I got the idea. Basically, the idea is a Scooby Doo parody, and I called it Doobie's Mysteries. And
mhm,
like so, it's instead of Scooby, it's Doobie, and he's like I had the idea I wanted to make him different from a dog, so I made him like a capybara, basically like a talking capybara,
mhm.
just to make him unique. And the gang's all there, but they're like heavily parodied versions of themselves. The Daphne characters, like even dumber, I guess. The Velma character is more nerdy, and then the Shaggy character is just a complete stoner, and
Right.
so they're all like more heavily parodied versions of themselves. But the idea of the show that I had was I got the idea actually from there's a series of really popular Scooby-Doo memes where it's the Scooby-Doo characters and then it's photoshopped in a famous horror character, but a
Mhm.
Scooby-Doo version, so they look like they fit in the world. So if you look this up, like Scooby-Doo with horror characters, it'll actually pull up like a ton of them. They have like a, you know, um, let me find some examples. I mean, they have like a um, Jason Voorhees, photo. They have one with them like with the nun. There's a picture of Freddy Krueger like hovering over a sleeping Daphne. There's an image of the gang in the Mystery Machine, and then the Creeper from Jeepers Creepers is flying over them.
Mhm.
There's one with the Ghostface chasing them. So when I saw those memes, I had an idea. I was like, wouldn't it be neat if you had a Scooby Doo parody show that was R rated and each episode was not only a Scooby Doo parody, but each episode was a parody of a different horror film, right?
Mhm.
So, like, the episode
Mhm.
that I wrote was a Hellraiser episode, and I even I gave it a Scooby Doo name. Like, I think I named it One Hell of a Hellraiser or something like that.
Mhm.
And the idea is that the formula of the original Scooby Doo series is it's very formulaic. It's like the gang stumbles upon a new mystery, right? At first, they always are, especially Scooby and Shaggy, are like, "This is a real monster," it's a ghost,
Right.
And then, but Fred is always kind of skeptical. He's the smarter one, they're eventually midway through the episode, they start to find some clues that indicate that maybe this is just a hoax, right? And then of
Right.
course at the end of every episode, they unmask the bad guy and it's like, "Oh, it was a guy dressed up the whole time." So I was like, wouldn't it be cool if you had this R-rated Scooby-Doo parody show, cursing, blood, gore, the whole nine, right? Each episode's a parody of a different horror film, and on top of that, the formula is reversed. So instead of them, so at the beginning of each episode, they think immediately that it's a hoax, and it always ends up being real at the end.
Okay.
And
That's
at the
pretty
end of
funny.
each episode, they all die a horrible death. But then
Wow.
there's loose continuity. So in each episode, sort of like Tom and Jerry, how Jerry would basically like fucking obliterate Tom, and then in the
Mhm.
next scene, Tom's fine.
Mhm.
It's kind of the same thing where in at the end of each episode, the gang dies a horrible death. Like the Hellraiser episode, they're all torn apart by chains, and Doobie gets turned into a Cenobite at the end. The Freddy,
Yeah.
the Nightmare on Elm Street parody, they all get gutted by Freddy, et cetera, et
Yeah.
cetera.
Yeah.
And then in each episode, they're good as new. And it's kind of the same thing where they're like, "This is a hoax," and you're just like, "Don't you get," because in the original series, you're always just kind of like, didn't you guys learn from the last one that this is a guy in a mask? Why do you think this is real again for the 50th
Right.
fucking time? But in this one, it's like, haven't you guys learned that these monsters are always real? Why do you keep thinking it's a hoax? It's fucking real. You're going to die again.
Yeah.
um, and I thought that would be fun. That'd be a fun show, like a Adult
Yeah.
Swim or something. And
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
honestly
Yeah.
surprised that it hasn't been tackled
Yeah.
yet, especially given the popularity of those memes a few years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Definitely a couple of very Adult Swim ideas from us.
Yeah, that's
Um.
my Adult Swim pitch.
Yeah. I love to see that, especially because I love any of those kind of shows. Even like Mike Tyson's Mysteries. Like I liked that show.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
watched a little bit of that show to as inspiration for when I was
Yeah.
writing that script, but I did
Yeah.
watch some
The
episodes of
Star Show.
yeah. I watched a few episodes of Scooby Doo while I was writing that to get
Mhm.
to really train my brain on the formula.
Mhm.
One thing that I found was the gang is a bunch of dickheads to Scooby Doo because,
Really?
yeah, dude, I shit you not. There's an episode where they come across a room, like a dark,
Mhm.
scary room, and Fred's like, "Scooby, you go check it out. Go inside and make sure the coast is clear." and like and like
Yeah.
Scooby's like, oh, and Fred, he's like, you got to be kidding, and Fred's like, no, I'm not
No,
kidding.
good.
Yeah, he's like, you're kidding. And Fred's like, no, I'm not kidding. And then they offer him Scooby snacks, but it's like, holy shit, you guys are assholes. You're like making the
Yeah,
dog go and like,
yeah. Well,
you're,
he's a
you're,
dog, isn't he?
yeah, you're like
Save the
martyring.
dog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're offering the dog up as like a sacrifice. So when I was writing the episode though of the parody show, I played into that where I take it to like a ridiculous level though, where they're like,
Mhm.
Scooby, stick your hand in that meat grinder and make sure it's like not working still, like that type of thing.
Ooh, yeah, yeah. That's pretty funny.
But anyway, couple adult swim pitches there. I like
Yeah,
it.
there you go, everybody. Hope you enjoy them. Send them to Adult Pinch, Adult Swinch, Adult Swim.
The pitch to Adult
Yeah,
Swim.
yeah.
Yeah,
Get us hired.
I would like to
Um,
swim that to Adult Pitch. I'll tell you.
yeah. That was quite a stumble.